people report seeing a man in a bunny costume wielding an axe near the Bunny Man Bridge. Now, this story takes place near that bridge. There was this man named Jake, and Jake and his buddy one night decided, hey, let's go out and see the Bunny Man. So they're driving down this road that leads to the Bunny Man Bridge, and they are sort of making jokes like, what if we see the Bunny Man? Like, how crazy would that be? And they're kind of provoking this thing. Well, all of a sudden, as Jake's driving, bam, they hit something and they feel like a really heavy impact in the car. So Jake's thinking, oh man, like, what did I just hit? Like, is that a person? Am I in trouble? Like, what just happened? So him and his buddy, they get out of the car and they start looking around. They don't see no blood. They don't see a person. They don't see an animal. And they're like, what did we hit? They look at the hood of the car and they can see that there's damage. They hit something. They felt the impact, but there is nothing around. Well, all of a sudden it got really quiet and they started to hear the faint sound of some music. They said it sounded like, like some children's music. It was like, na, 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 na. And it just was like very soft coming from the woods. So Jake and his friend are like, we need to get out of here. Like, it's time to go. They jump in the car. Jake turns the key in the ignition. And when the lights come on, they look, and in front of the car, standing about 100 feet away, is this man in a bunny costume. And Jake, is like, we need to get out of here now. He tries to turn the key, but the car will not turn over. All of a sudden, this man in the bunny costume begins appearing and disappearing, getting closer and closer to the car. Finally, he is right up against the car. And that's when they can clearly see this man in this bunny costume. His face is almost like a zombie. The flesh is hanging off the skin. The eyes are bulging out of its face. And this thing is carrying an axe. It begins hitting the front of the car. And it's attacking the side of this vehicle. Well, finally, Jake manages to get the car started and he takes off. They get out of there. So they're wondering, like, did that really happen? Like, what did we just encounter? Jake gets back to his house, and when they get out, they can clearly see there's damage on the vehicle. So that night, Jake goes to bed, and he said he woke up in the middle of the night and he could hear these really loud laughs. And he couldn't help but think, like, was that what we encountered earlier? That morning, he gets up and he starts talking to his dad. And his dad's like, the weirdest thing happened last night. I looked out the window and there was a man dressed in a bunny outfit walking up and down our street. This is 100% true story that happened to a woman in Madison, Wisconsin. Now, there was this woman named Sherry who moved into this house with her two children in Madison, Wisconsin. Now, she said, at the time, she didn't believe in anything supernatural. She really thought that was a bunch of nonsense. But she said, right away when they moved in, she would notice, out of the corner of her eye, sometimes shadows moving across the walls. She would hear strange noises that she couldn't explain. But she said, for the most part, it was just a normal house. One night, she's upstairs in her bedroom and she's folding laundry. She hears talking coming from her son's room. So she makes her way over to his room. The door's closed, and she hears her son having a full on conversation with someone. And she's like, who is he talking to, at 12:30 at night? So she opens the door, and when she looks in his room, he is not in his bed. So she starts yelling for him. She looks down and sees him next to the side of his bed, on his knees, crouched down, with his head under the bed, talking to someone. And she's like, hey, who are you talking to? Like, who's under there? And her son's like, I can't tell you. And she said, what do you mean you can't tell me? Like, who's under the bed? And he's like, I can't say. He'll get mad. And she's like, what? Who's under there? So she runs over to the bed and she looks underneath there. It's empty. There's nothing under there. So she's like, you know what? Just get back in bed. Like, just stop, doing whatever you're doing. Several weeks pass, and like on a regular basis, she keeps finding her son talking to someone under the bed, except there's no one there. So, after a few weeks of this happening, she thinks maybe something is wrong with her son. So, she takes him to this child therapist. The therapist like assesses him and says, he seems completely fine. It's probably just his imagination. So several months pass and he keeps on doing this. Well, one day she's sitting down in the living room with him and they're talking when she notices he has some scratches and bruises like all over his body. And she's like, "Where did you get those scratches and bruises from? Like, what's going on?" And he's like, "I can't say, I can't tell you." And she's like, "Yes, you have to tell me, like, what is going on with you?" And finally he breaks down and he starts crying and stuff, and he just starts freaking out. And then he runs up to his room. So the mom, at this time is like, I don't know what to do. Like, what is going on with my son? Like, she's just panicking. Later that night, she's awoken to her son screaming in his bedroom. She runs as fast as she can. She goes in his room. She finds him halfway underneath the bed. He's grabbing onto the bed frame, and it looks like something is pulling him under the bed. So she immediately grabs him, pulls him out from under the bed. She looks under there. There's no one there. So she's like, "You know what? This is weird. Like, you're sleeping with me tonight. You're going to be in bed with me tonight." So they go back to her bedroom. He lays down. He falls asleep. She's sitting in bed. She can't sleep. She's like freaked out about this whole situation. When all of a sudden she hears, "Shh, hey, come under the bed." And she's like, "What?" She looks over. Her son is sleeping. But then once again she hears, "Hey, come here under the bed. I need to talk to you." And it's like a man's voice. And she's like, no, who are you? Like, go away. And the man's like, "Come on, get under the bed. I need to tell you something." And like, she's like, "No, I'm not going under the bed." And she said this man, whoever he was, just started yelling obscenities and getting really angry. So she grabs her son. They get out of the house. And she said she left that night and never went back. And still to this day, that house sits there. And she said she's talked to the neighbors, and they said since she's moved, like several families have lived there and they move out immediately.
This woman from Ohio saw her doppelganger in the streetlight, only to discover her life was over. In 1957, in the quiet town of Ravens Creek, Ohio, a woman named Evelyn lived a simple life. She worked at a diner, had friends, and was engaged to be married. One night, while walking home, Evelyn saw someone under a flickering streetlight. As she got closer, her heart froze. The woman looked exactly like her. Same face, same clothes. Terrified, Evelyn ran home, but the next day strange things happened. Her friends claimed they had seen her at the diner earlier, even though she hadn't gone to work. Her boss said she had quit, showing a letter with her signature. Then Evelyn saw her doppelganger again, but this time it was inside her house, sitting with her fiancé. When Evelyn screamed, the double turned and whispered, "You're not supposed to be here." Evelyn tried to leave town, but no one believed her story. People treated her like a stranger. Desperate, she returned home and found her double in the mirror, smiling. But the reflection didn't move when Evelyn did. The double stepped out of the mirror and whispered, "This life is mine now." Evelyn's screams faded as her body vanished. Her double took her place, and no one ever noticed she was gone.